Are we recording? Yes, we are, because the clock is ticking. So here I am, triumphant return, soul of a nerd, in movie review type stuff. I gotta snap my neck. Ugh, I need a chiropractor. So I'm back. It's been an interesting 2020. Movies weren't even coming out that was supposed to come out. So, my reviews were cut down. Although there was a lot of stuff I could have reviewed, I just had a lot of other stuff going on. So, I made it a point to come back, particularly, first of all, I got to reacquaint myself with cameras and seeing myself in the opposite reflection. But, I'm going to jump into, I'm still debating whether I will do a Wonder Woman 1984 review. I'll just generally say right here, because that's not the point of this video. I was disappointed, highly disappointed in that movie. So, I guess I could give you my score on it. It was like a 5, between a 5 and a 6. So it's called a 5.5 out of 10. But that's enough about that. I'm really here to do what will be weekly posts of reviewing the Marvel MCU, Marvel Studios, Disney Plus TV shows. And I'm starting here with WandaVision. Just to give some background, and I'm going to try to do this in 30 minutes. If you've ever seen any of my other videos, I'm a pretty long-winded person. So I'm going to try to make this a 30-minute video. I'm starting the clock right now. Just first off, let me just give some background. I find, I'm going to say this about this show. Depending on your level of interest in these two characters or your knowledge of what the show premise was going to be, I think will have a lot to do with your impressions or opinions on this, as far as the first 2 episodes that they showed, that debuted yesterday, Friday. For me, I've been following the stories and news reports about it from day one. When I first heard it was announced and they said it was going to have like a 60s or whatever sitcom vibe, that part didn't really make me feel too I don't know. I was a little skeptical, let's put it like that, till I heard more details, and it started to already make sense to me what they probably had in mind that we're going to go with this. So that off the rip, I'm going to say, the more I heard about it, and then when they started showing images of it, whether it was, what do you want to call it, promo art, and then the little clips would come out, the trailers, teasers, things like that. With each new piece of information that came out from a visual standpoint, I became more interested, to the point where I would say all of last year, from the minute they announced all of the Disney Plus shows, which actually I guess that would have been in 2019, kind of lose track now. 2020 just threw everything out of whack. So whether it was Comic-Con 2019, I guess, or the D23 event in late 2019, maybe that's when it was, and they announced Loki was going to be a series, Falcon and Winter Soldier was going to be a series, WandaVision was going to be a series, and Hawkeye. I think those were really the first 4 solid announcements that they made. And again, Falcon and Winter Soldier was originally like the one that got my attention, but once I started seeing the visual pieces of promotion and material, footage, whatever you want to call it, for WandaVision, that became my most anticipated show out of the 4 first announced shows. So that's some background. Then when they told me, or when they told us, that it was going to tie into directly into Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, then it was like a done deal, because coincidentally or not coincidentally, as far as the movies they announced for Phase 4, whether it was Black Panther 2, um, Shang-Chi, Eternals, Black Widow, what was the other movies they were announcing at that time? The third Spider-Man, of course. At that time, you just knew there was going to be a third Spider-Man, but we didn't have no details. Guardians 3, and then even when they announced Thor: Love and Thunder, and even announced that they were going to do a Blade, my opinion from day one, really, when they even said that Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, by the title and describing it as having a more horror vibe than the previous Doctor Strange, that became my most anticipated, because in a way Doctor Strange is almost like, now that Iron Man and Captain America are somewhat retired and Hulk has been watered down, in my opinion, and Thor, I still like Thor, but he's going in a direction that is like hit or miss for me. Doctor Strange is probably like my favorite character in the MCU. I've said before, going back a couple years ago now, he was like the MVP of Infinity War, in my opinion. Besides Thor, of course. So yeah, I got a lot of interest in Doctor Strange now, and of course I did have a lot of interest in Black Panther, but unfortunately Chadwick passed away, so now that's up in the air. So my point is, Doctor Strange, and then they said that Wanda's going to be in Doctor Strange Part 2. I'm not going to keep saying Multiverse of Madness. So the whole thing is, this show is my most anticipated Disney Plus MCU show, period. And it still is, even with other ones that they've announced, like Moon Knight and She-Hulk, Ms. Marvel. Although I am interested in Moon Knight, and I don't really know a lot about the character. I just think he looks dope, and the premise of who he is, I think it's going to be interesting. So yeah. So with that being said, I already had the idea of what this show was going to be, with this sitcom vibe. And not trying to act like I told you so, or being a revisionist history person. If anyone would have asked me a year ago, what do you think the show is going to be? In my mind, it's Wanda is in the events of Endgame and Infinity War. She is almost going into a post-trauma mental state. Now, mind you, this is not a normal person having PTSD. This is basically a mutant. Hopefully they end up making them mutants now that they have rights to X-Men. But either way, she's a powered individual who has the ability to, fool with reality, as we saw from Age of Ultron. She's got all kind of powers, really, that she hasn't tapped into, and we don't know yet. So my point is, I'm thinking this show is going to be about her basically creating an alternate reality in her mind, and it's going to be sitcom based. And all they have to do is explain that by saying, being that she was Sokovian, she's a foreign kid who grew up orphaned, over these years since she's been in the Avengers, she may have watched sitcoms. It's almost like what happens to a lot of people. You hear foreigners where they'll say they learned English by watching TV. Their favorite shows taught them how to speak English, so on and so forth. So I think, and they may not even go this far with it. It's like I may be giving them more backstory than they're actually going to give us. But I just figured that's going to be the idea, is that she, being a foreigner and being a little bit of an alien, so to speak, in the sense she has these powers, and she's, like I said, been orphaned and all this other stuff, had experiments done on her. She doesn't exactly feel that connected with society. That was kind of what they touched on in Civil War. So, like, she got into watching sitcoms, what I'm saying, as a way to, like, adjust to normal American life. While, off screen, in between all these movies that she's been in. So she became fascinated with sitcoms. It's really logical if you think about it that way. So once she goes into this state of psychosis, or kind of losing touch with reality because she's still devastated about what happened with Vision. She's creating a sitcom in her mind because that's the happy life, that she saw on TV. And that's just it. Like I said, how many of us would do that? But when you have her powers, it's almost like she's actually then creating it because she really can, in a way. And I think that's what, it's almost like I feel like I'm spoiling it because this has to be what's happening, even though it hasn't even been revealed on the show yet. It's just, that's common sense to me when they announce the premise that it's going to be part sitcom, part MCU. The immediate thing is like, well, why would they have sitcom involved with it? Like, how are they going to explain why are we watching her in a sitcom? It's like I don't see how you can't answer that. She's losing her mind, yeah, and she's creating a sitcom world for her in Vision. And so in the first 2 episodes, you already see the signs of that. So
the end of that second episode, I'm like, whoa.
Oh, you watched them?
Yeah.
When?
I watched them last night. You were in here last night, because I remembered that they were out. And I was like, oh, I'm watching them. No spoilers, but the end of that second one, I was like,
you talking about?
Oh, no.
Oh, I'm spoiling on here. You talking about dude climbing out of the sewer?
Person.
Oh yeah, crap.
Like, came out the sewer, and then she was just like, no, and then it rewound.
Yeah. So, I highly enjoyed. I'm up here talking to my daughter. I highly enjoyed the second episode. The first episode, I mean, it's like basically, it was good for getting you warmed up into the process. Y'all may remember her from videos of reviewing many movies like Thor Ragnarok and Justice League.
Did we do Wonder Woman 1 or no? We did something else. Oh, we did It.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
So that was actually in the car too.
Yeah.
I don't know if I ever posted that to YouTube, but so yeah, let's just get into that. So basically, to me, that's the premise. Walking in, from my understanding, it's kind of obvious. Which, again, to me, that's going to be interesting because to me, that means they're going to go a little dark with it, and it's going to get a little trippy, and be a little disturbing, so to speak. So teenagers, always going out to hang out. Daddy-daughter reviews. She's grown up, doing her own thing now. So for me, the first episode. Oh, let's also talk about this. Just in the last week, I was hearing the reports that came out that originally it was supposed to be 6 hours worth of footage. I mean, the show has 6 hours of story. And then it was supposed to be 6 episodes. It was presumed. Last week, news came out that it was going to be 9 episodes. So then it was like a question of, okay, well, how are they doing that? And I've been on chat groups and things like that, Facebook groups and YouTube pages or whatever, where the assumption is, well, they're going to be shorter episodes then. So I was a little like, I guess, yeah, it's supposed to be sitcom, so I could see them going with the 30-minute sitcom format. And that turns out to be what they did for the first 2 episodes. Now that I've seen it, though, that part is a little disappointing to me because it felt like, man, I need more. So hopefully they're doing that for now because they're using a sitcom premise, and as the story unfolds, they're going to expand the length of the episodes, because I think we are a little spoiled on 1-hour episodes. I know I am when it comes to things like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and all of the Netflix shows. I'm expecting to see an hour, even watching Disney Plus shows like The Mandalorian and stuff like that. So we'll see how it goes. It was a definitely smart idea to give us 2 episodes out the box, though, because a half hour. If I'd have watched that first episode and that's all I had to go on until next week, I would be feeling a little some kind of way, even though the episode was good. So let's get into that. Overall, I'm gonna just say I loved it. Basically, like, hats off, 2 episodes in, to Marvel Studios again for doing something creative out the box and kind of nailing it. Their ability to capture that 60s black and white sitcom aesthetic was phenomenal. Like the dialogue, the way that these two are actually going to be able to display their acting skills. Elizabeth Olsen is quickly rising. That's another character. I mean, point blank, Doctor Strange and Wanda are two of my favorite characters in the MCU right now, and she's been growing on me with each movie and appearance she makes, and she's been given small pieces of material. You know what I'm saying? So I like this because, Kevin Feige said this isn't something that they could have made into a movie, and they probably know that people wouldn't necessarily go to the box office to watch a movie about these two. So again, genius to put it in this format where people can watch it on a streaming service where they don't feel like they're going to pay money at the movies. They're already buying a subscription, so watch it. Production value is high. Movie budget. They said they were using movie budget type money for these shows, and it shows that they are. I gotta pause this real quick. Dang it, because I'm missing my phone. Well, no, I can't pause it, so I'm gonna have to walk away for a second. Gotta keep your phone nearby you. You know what I'm saying? So.